Hey guys, welcome to the Challenge Podcast. I'm Coach Steve.
And I'm Coach Nick, and we're going to be talking about everything fitness, health, and the challenge.
Let's get on with the show. What's up guys, Coach Steve here. Welcome back to another episode of the Challenge Weekly Show. Today we're joined with our co-host, Coach Nick. Nick, how are we doing today?
I am very well, thanks, Coach Steve. I am very excited because it's a new beginning, isn't it?
It's a new beginning. But Nick, tell me, a new beginning for what?
A new beginning for this 6-week challenge.
Yes, the M6 hasn't started yet. It starts next week, but prep week has begun. So we've transitioned from the first July challenge into the second M challenge, which is now M6. M6, the October challenge, 6 weeks. We're in, we're out. It's going to be a fun one, Nick.
That's right. That's so exciting. 6-week challenges are awesome because you can really just focus, get in, get out, commit to the process, and just enjoy. There's no time to get sick of it.
No. And it's going to start before we know it, and it's going to end before we know it too. So we won't know what's going on, but we will know what's going on because it's going to be 6 weeks. It's going to be quick. It's going to be great.
And you're going to get something during this challenge that's new.
That's new, that's fresh, that's right. I'm expecting baby number 2 in just a couple of weeks. So the first week or so of November, expecting my second boy, and they're going to be 14 months apart. So if anybody has any children that are very close together, you probably know exactly what I've got in store for me over the next couple of years. So get used to this little baby face of mine because I think I'm going to age a lot over the summertime, and probably next time you see me in some training videos and stuff, I might be old man Coach Steve rather than babyface Coach Steve.
Yeah. I don't have anything to add to that. I just say, yep, 100%.
No, it's going to be fun. It's going to be great. Now, look, Nick, there are probably a few people who are finding the Challenge podcast for the very first time during prep week for the M6. And they're probably listening to us and they're like, oh, this Coach Steve guy, this Coach Nick guy, who the hell are these people? Why should I listen to them? Why should I even listen to the rest of this podcast? So Nick, I thought we could start by reintroducing ourselves. So we haven't really reintroduced ourselves in a little bit, right?
No. Yeah, let's do it.
So look, I thought we'd break it down into personally, professionally, and fitness Ali, because you got to have that Ali at the end, right? So we could describe who we are personally, who we are professionally, and then who we are in the fitness realm. Okay. And I thought I might start off, Nick. Okay, if you don't mind.
No.
Okay, look, personally my name's Steve, or Steven. I used to be really pedantic when I was a kid. It always used to be Steven. You have to pronounce the N at the end, Steven. But then as I matured through my puberty years and realized that you don't need to hold on to the N anymore, Steve is totally fine. So I'm Steve. I am Melbourne born and raised, so I'm in Melbourne, and I am a dad. I'm a dad of 1, soon to be 2. I'm also a dad of a little furball named Frankie.
Best friend. That's your best friend.
Frankie. She's the best, little cavoodle. And then also Kiwi the cat, which is a little fluff ball, which gets her fluff all over my clothes. My darling partner, Laura, who actually works for the challenge as well, in an administrative role. We are, expecting baby number 2 in November, another boy. So Nick, I'm going to have a spotter on each side of me in the near future. It's going to be great.
You sure are. And yeah, Laura is awesome, by the way.
Laura's the best.
If people have not met her, she's funny and excellent.
She's the best.
Yeah.
Personally for myself, I self-proclaimed a bit of a dork. I like numbers. I like statistics. I like comic book movies. I like tech things and automation, and gadgets and gizmos. So if you are interested in a millennial Coach Steve, turning 30 next year, talking about tech and gadgets and gizmos, hit me up. It's all the good stuff. Nick.
Yeah, you love all that. So that's fantastic. You're very helpful with everything to do with gadgets, gizmos, tech stuff. We wouldn't be able to do it without you, Coach Steve.
Look, we would survive. But look, Nick.
We wouldn't.
Professionally, I've been in the fitness industry since I was 18. So as a personal trainer, PT, the same thing, personal trainer, PT, a coach, group fitness instructor, all the good stuff. I am also a registered osteopath. So some people call me Dr. Steve. I'm in the clinic where I help people move better and move their way out of pain. So helping those who are injured and such. And I guess professionally, I am one to enjoy continual learning. I do spend a lot of time on places like Google Scholar and trying to read recent research and trying to like keep myself updated and in the know-how. So that's professionally, Nick. And finally, we've got fitness, Ali. Fitness-wise, I first started when I was moving into fitness when I was quite overweight as a teenager, trying to look better, to boost my confidence, that type of thing. Got myself into some sports and such. Started lifting weights. Found myself in bodybuilding circles. Found myself in powerlifting circles, in Olympic weightlifting circles, in swimming circles, and found my way then into endurance events like marathon running and other endurance events like Oxfam, long walks and things like that. But now I'm a little bit more focused on the strength side of things, a little bit more into the powerlifting world, having competed earlier this year and hoping to do a few more before I retire from the fitness world. But I like to lift heavy things. I like the anatomy and applied biomechanics of movement, or just applied anatomy, right, where you're trying to move better and contract the muscle better and all that good stuff. So Nick, that's me personally, professionally, and Fitness Ali. Take us away, Nick. Can you give us a super speedy introduction?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's no way I can compare to you, but that's why it's fantastic actually, because we're very different, which is excellent. So so personally, I am a mum of two teenage girls, Lucia and Zara. I live in Melbourne as well. I am 43, just in case anyone wants to know, if that's of interest to anyone. So I've been around for a while. I was born in 1979, which is kind of cool. I personally did not start in fitness. I started in creative writing and publishing and things like that. So my entire 20s was spent just being a little bit creative and a bit in that kind of world. And then I had the kids, and then I got really into fitness and started to teach spin, group fitness, ran and owned a spin studio for quite some time, and just trained people everywhere. And yeah, so that's personally, but then that's also professionally, isn't it? So I've kind of gone over. So yeah, I like to be a little bit creative. I'm probably more fluid in my approach to things. I like to kind of see what each person is feeling and things like that. So I'm a bit of a feely person. So if you want the feels, you can hit me up for some feels. Yeah, so professionally, I've done quite a bit of stuff within fitness. I mean, it's been the last maybe 10 or 12 years now. So there's been, even actually one of my daughters is 15, so it must be 15 years. That's a long time. Many hours with many people doing many different things in the gym, group fitness classes, training one-on-one, training, footballers all the way through to new mums. So heaps of different stuff there. And fitness wise, I don't think there's much I haven't given a go to. So I've done the big triathlons. I've done the Ironmans or Ironmen. I've done powerlifting. I've done I think I'll probably die doing powerlifting. That's my favorite thing. And at the moment I'm dabbling in a bit of bodybuilding. You've reached me at the tail end of a season, and I'm got one more comp in me, Coach Steve. I was just telling you that. So I'm going to Queensland on the weekend to compete in Miss Fitness. So if you're new to me, you can follow my journey and see how that goes.
So good. What a brief introduction, but that's only just the tip of the iceberg of who Coach Nick is, right?
Yeah, I'm very funny, right? Do you think I'm funny?
You're the funny one out of us, I reckon.
No way, you are, but I definitely bounce off you. Yeah, we're like peas and carrots.
Yeah, just the poor corn misses out, right? That's too corny for us.
I feel like we're probably the only, like, we can put up with each other somehow. We mix and match quite well, and it works. And yeah, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
No, I think what I am excited to work with you for, if that's a correct sentence, maybe your creative writing can correct my sentence there. But I like that we are a bit of yin and yang, right? Where you suggested that maybe you're a little bit more emotional based, really wanted to know the person, where I might be more leaning towards the data and the numbers, being like, okay, how are we looking at it from a macro point of view versus a micro point of view? And I think both of those complement different coaching styles. And I think, speaking about other coaches out there, we all have our different approaches to coaching. Some work really well for some individuals, some just simply don't work. So I'm sure if you and I were trying to coach the same person, one of us would gel well with that person because that's how it works for that individual. And that doesn't mean that you and I are the two only coaching styles. There are a whole range of different coaching styles. So what I mean by that, bring a full circle, is that if you are currently following a particular coach or a personal trainer or a certain style of training, or you really like a certain influencer, speaker, whoever, that doesn't make them incorrect or us incorrect or anything like that. We're just different. We're different people. We approach things differently, and we may work well for you, or you might say, Coach Steve, you're an idiot. I don't want to listen to you anymore. And that's fine. That's okay. I will take that and we can move on, right? So it's different coaching styles, and we can approach things differently.
Definitely. And I think the thing that we do have in common fundamentally is that we've got the same values around fitness. We like to make sure that people are educated, make sure that they're informed, and make sure that it's pretty evidence-based. We don't really we don't go with fads and things like that. So it's all pretty classic stuff that we both like. So that's where we connect in the middle.
That's right. The last thing I'll say is that we have your best intentions in mind. Yeah. Right. We generally want the best for you. And I know it's cliche just to say that, but I think in the fitness space, in the healthcare space, as an osteopath, like, I want people to move better. I want people to enjoy their body, and be confident in their body, and help them to move closer to their goals, whatever that means to them. So any advice that I give you, or Coach Nick gives you, or the challenge gives you, we mean it with the best intentions possible. We don't mean it in a malicious way. If we're telling you, hey, maybe you don't need to diet as hard, or hey, maybe you need to focus on one goal at a time, or hey, maybe you don't need to do cardio, like we're going to talk about a little bit later today, we mean that with the best intentions, and we don't mean it in a malicious way. Ultimately, because we create this podcast, or we create this content around the challenge, and the challenge thrives off of amazing transformations. And if we weren't giving you the best information possible to get those amazing transformations, the challenge wouldn't survive. We'd be out of a job, and we'd be a little bit lost. So what we're suggesting is with your best intentions in mind.
Absolutely, absolutely, and no questions are bad questions, and I think it's really important for us all to work together and try and enjoy the process as well, because it is enjoyable.
Oh, yeah. Nick, M6. Let's talk M6. We are in prep week. Prep week is an exciting time, because prep week is a time where we can prepare for the challenge. The challenge officially begins on the 24th of October, which is next week. And this week that you may be listening to this, or maybe you've caught up a little bit late for us, but this week is currently prep week for us. Now, what should you be doing in prep week? Well, firstly, you should be logging into the M Challenge app, and you should be setting up your training plan and setting up your nutrition plan. So that's probably the first things that you want to do. Next, if you are using like an activity tracker, such as a Garmin, a Fitbit, something similar, you would want, if you want to, set up your activity tracker to sync with either Apple Health or Google Fit, so that the M Challenge app can read how many steps you're doing. So you can't directly sync a smartwatch, such as like a Garmin watch, directly to the M Challenge app. You need to sync the watch to either Apple Health for iOS or Google Fit for Android, and then the M Challenge app syncs with those two things, either Apple Health or Google Fit. Okay. There's an article on the website. There's also an article in the Learn section of the M Challenge app about how to do those things. Okay. Next things that you want to be doing in prep week is downloading the entry document and getting ready to take your start photo. Okay, start photo is simply a front-facing photo with the entry document or a current newspaper visible in that image. You want to be stripped down to show as much of your body as you're comfortable with. Many individuals wearing just their underwear or board shorts or swimwear, something similar. And ultimately, the M Challenge competition is a body transformation competition where we are judging the start and end photos. So the more that you show, the better you can be judged, and the more of a chance you can be eligible for the competition, if that's a correct sentence again.
Yes. The more the merrier.
The more the merrier, yes. Now, Nick and I are basically living on the forum during the challenge. So if you have any questions for the challenge, any questions for Coach Nick or myself, please reach out to us on the forum. You can find the forum on the M Challenge app. Now, outside of the M Challenge app, we have other social areas for support, such as our Facebook social hub. And that is a place for support and motivation and encouragement. So if you haven't already, come join us on our Facebook social hub, which is a Facebook group where we have almost 10,000 members, where we are supportive of each other. You can post selfies and gym selfies and ask questions to our broader community, like, hey, what are you having for dinner tonight? And things like, oh, what is the best brand of leggings? Or, has anyone tried this flavor of sauce or something like that? So that can be a broader, bigger question to ask our community, and that could be a great crowdsourcing area. However, some answers that come out of that Facebook social hub are not challenge supported, probably not the answer that I would be giving individuals. So please be cautious about seeking answers and advice from that Facebook social hub.
Yeah, definitely.
Nick, before we move on to our community highlights, where we highlight members of our community, I want to offer a quick tip for the M Challenge. Okay, and I thought maybe you can give us a quick tip as well, Nick, but I'd like to start quickly. My big tip, if you're sitting in prep week, if you're about to do the M Challenge, regardless if you're a new challenger, a returning M Challenger, or a returning challenger from the Max and Maxine Challenge, is my big tip for you is that you get out what you put in. With the challenge, you get out what you put in. And that's a little bit cliche, but the effort that you put into the challenge, the effort that you put into training, the effort you put into nutrition, the effort that you put into developing yourself, improving yourself, learning and understanding concepts around body transformation, the more of a result you will achieve. You will reap what you'll sow. The investment that you make, you'll pay dividends back. Okay. And often we see at this time of the challenge, there's apprehensions and objections to the challenge, such as, oh, I've got no time. I can't set up my training plan. I can't set up my nutrition plan. Oh, I don't have time to read articles or anything like that. And, you get out what you put in. And if you don't have time for some of these things, that's okay. Or maybe the challenge isn't the right time for you right now. And maybe you need to modify your priorities and shift your environment around so that it can make it work for you. But the more investment that you put into the challenge, the more investment that you put into you, the more of a result you will make. And that investment can be finding time to go train. That investment can be to finding time to do meal prep and getting your steps in and learning about, the metabolism and, calories, and understanding what progressive overload is and training to failure and asking questions and engaging the community. All these things are investments, and you get out what you put into the challenge.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I agree. 1,000,000%.
1,000,000%.
Mm-hmm.
Nick, can you offer us a quick tip about the M Challenge?
Yes, I reckon my favorite tip would have to be at this point, to do well, you have to do something that you've never done before. So I would probably get rid of as much as you can of previous attachments to certain eating styles or programs that you've been following that haven't been working for you, which is why you were probably drawn to the challenge. Unless you're drawn into it to absolutely win and you know what you're doing, then you go for it. But if you're after advice and guidance, take it. Take it and run with it and see how that goes for you. Because if we're doing the same thing and expecting different results, we're only going to be disappointed.
That's good advice. So wait, Nick, you're telling me that because I've been having a glass of wine every night after dinner for 10 years, I can't still have a glass of wine every night after dinner? Is that what you're telling me?
Oh, you can have a glass of wine every night after dinner. That's absolutely fine. It is just more the bigger picture as to what are your goals. It depends, but it's more that thing about, just say you say, oh, I've been doing 6 sessions at the gym and I already run 20 Ks, and I say, well, what do you want to get out of this challenge? What we're telling you to do less, but I want to do more. Okay, how's your body composition? How's that going for you? How does it feel? Just sit with what your actual goals are. And if we're saying this is a direct path to your goals, you may have to rethink a few things. Just give me a few weeks of your time and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, you can have your wine, just fit it in if you must. But if you want to win, I would probably not just have that. I'd probably be looking at changing a few things.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think many people will join the challenge expecting to keep training the way they train or eating the way they eat and not making any significant change or modification. So if you are one to, enjoy a glass of wine every night after dinner, and you might be unhappy with the way you look, you're not putting on as much muscle as you hope for, or maybe you are a little bit overweight compared to what you want to be, you want to lose a little bit of weight. Okay, maybe you do need to cut out that glass of wine. Maybe, you don't need to have that bit of chocolate or that daily muffin, making these changes. Or if you have always been running on a treadmill every day and you're hoping to have the physique like you see some of these models or Instagram people or athletes out there have, okay, maybe you need to change your approach to training to achieve these goals. So I love it, Nick. Great tip.
Thank you.
Nick, let's move on to our next segment here. We have the community highlight, where we like to highlight some members of our community. So Nick, take us away. Who would you like to highlight this week?
Well, I think for everybody, the grand champion of the last challenge would be a great place to start. So that's Jasmine Wright, or Jazz Wright. So she has a few highlights for us. She says, I did my first Maxine's challenge about 4 years ago. I wish I'd have done continuous challenges, signed up for another and gave up after day 3, did one last year while traveling and then one just gone. I finally feel like I have my training and nutrition on track because I've been given the tools and taught some really good fundamentals. It's nice to be a part of a community that supports you no matter what. Even though our challenge is over, our foundations are strong, and I feel like I'm a part of a big family. I've been told by some people that they don't like girls with muscles, rah, rah, rah. I never get that here, and I love that. Here I feel free to be me or whoever I want to be. Thank you, everybody, for the sense of community and acceptance. Ready to rock the next challenge with you all. So that's amazing. I love that.
That's awesome. And I think Jazz actually made that post before she found out she was the winner, I think.
I know. How cool is that?
Yeah.
How cool is that? That's the best. Yeah, because like I've said recently, the winning bit is just, that's the icing on the cake, but it's what you learn along the journey that is so important in fitness. I think winning can be something, but it's really about how does it change you as a person and propel you to that next level. And she's proven that that's the case. So you can't really, I haven't won the challenge. So, I mean, Jazz has more than me going on in terms of that. She's won it. So I'd be listening to that.
Yeah, that's awesome, Jazz. Keep it up. Yeah, no, it's so good.
All right. So the next one, we've got Bridie Lee. So Bridie Lee happens to have come second in the most recent challenge. What a coincidence. I just can't, who finds these things? Okay. So Bridie says, absolutely stoked and truly honored to have been selected in the top 50 for this challenge. Congratulations to the top 50 girls and guys. So this is obviously, she did this before she realized that she'd come second. Everyone is a winner here no matter what. Your gains, your weight loss, your fitness improvements are all prizes that you earned by putting in the hard work. Body training and mental training is the most honest sport you can compete in. So that's interesting, isn't it? Your results are a direct result of your effort and discipline. Stay consistent and trust your process. Thank you, M Challenge team. Can't wait to see the next round of announcements, which happened to be, retrospectively happened to be that she came second. She says, "You've got this. Keep turning up." Quote by Ben Fitz. That is a permanent one in my brain and keeps me pushing through. So I love that. I really like where she said, for real, it's the most honest sport you can compete in. I think transforming your body is, because you wear it. You wear what you've eaten. You wear what your training is. You might not wear it on the day, but someone once said it's about like what you were doing 6 weeks ago that sort of starts to show on your body today. So it's actually quite amazing. You do wear it and you can't really buy it.
I like that.
Kardashian, but you can't buy. I haven't seen muscles in a can. Have you?
No, you can't shortcut your way to having a physique. And even if you made the claim of being an enhanced athlete, someone who dabbled in the products a little bit higher than creatine, that still takes work. You can't just start pinning yourself or taking enhancements and expecting results to come. So it is an honest sport where you've got to put in the work. You can't not put the work in.
Yeah, well, the whole idea of enhancement, which like we don't condone here, but you're only enhancing what there is. So yeah, it's like with supplements, you're only supplementing what's going on with you anyway. So interesting. We've got how many other podcasts? 86 chatting like this. So please spend 86 hours listening to us talking about all this stuff. The next one is Marley Corsi. Top 50. It's been a while since I've seen my name and face in here. Thank you for everyone who voted for me. I feel very honored and proud of myself to get some sort of transformation weight loss with 2 kids, draining most of my energy each day and doing it all with 4 to 6 hours of sleep each day. Can't wait to start the 6-week challenge. So well done, Marley or Marlies. Hopefully I've pronounced that correctly. I love it because she hasn't let the kid thing get in the way. The kid thing, like 2 entire humans. It's like, oh, those kid things. Mine are both at school today, so that's a win. I think they are anyway. I haven't had any text messages yet, but it can, as you understand, Steve, it can be a bit hard sometimes to get your own priorities sorted when you've got little humans counting on you. So good on her. She's done a good job.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think I can relate to that as a relatively new dad myself, and then another one along the way. I can see how those kid things can slowly drain your energy, and even just drain your priorities, right? Where sometimes getting to a gym or into some training is hard, not just for you, but as an environmental thing. Like, okay, once the kids are asleep, you're tired, or you need to rely on your partner to look after the kids while you go and train and do those sorts of things. It just puts pressure on places. So I can understand that a lot. Nick, I would like to highlight a few challenges today. First one goes out to Elaine Hudson. Hello, Elaine. And Elaine writes, I was going to sit out this next challenge as I'm doing one with my gym, but I don't think I can, she writes. I just have to do it. It's hard to say no to a challenge as it is to say no to chocolate. And I just like this one. I just wanted to highlight Elaine, who was going to say no, currently doing a challenge maybe at her gym, but decided to join us for M6 as well. So hello, Elaine. Keep up some good work, train hard, eat well, and we're excited to see what you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. People become quite addicted to them. Well, you can't sit it out. I can relate to that because I was going to sit out the last competition, and then suddenly I've just decided to actually go for it. So there's something about it. Like you think you're going to sit it out and then you get FOMO and you're like, I've just got to do it.
So good. Nick, the next one here goes to Ronnie Lettuce. And Ronnie writes, woohoo! Glad to be back and looking forward to the 6 weeks. Really hoping to complete the challenge in full this time. And I wanted to highlight Ronnie here. Sounds like they haven't completed a challenge successfully in the past. They're back for 6 weeks and I hope to complete it in full this time. And I think that's one of the benefits of 6 weeks, Nick, where it's much shorter. It's much shorter. So you can commit yourself just for 6 weeks. It's a month and a half. It's going to fly by. And if you could do that, that can be a great leap pad, a stepping stone to the future of your own fitness journey. Go, Ronnie. That's awesome.
Go, Ronnie. Fantastic.
The last one here goes out to Ashley Chettleberg, previous top 3 finalist in the Max's Challenge a little while ago, and has been a supporter of the M Challenge as one of our ambassadors. And Ashley writes, congratulations to all the people who made the top 50 for the first M Challenge. As always, there are some amazing transformations. To those that didn't make the top 50, please don't give up on your journey to finding the best version of you. There have been many challenges over the years that haven't made the top 50 that go on to make great long-lasting changes. So grit your teeth, learn from the experience, and make the necessary adjustments to keep the results you desire. And to everyone who completed the challenge, keep going. The journey does not end after 12 weeks or 6 weeks. Keep moving forward, keep setting goals, and do your best to make this a lifestyle change for years to come. You've got this. I like this little post from Ashley. Really highlighted both sides of the competition, where one, celebrating if you did make the top 50 or the top 10 or the top 3 or however you went, celebrating the wins you made, celebrating the effort that you've put in, as well as reflecting on the idea of not making the top 50, where, hey, you might not have been given a place card or a title or a t-shirt or whatever happens in the top 50, but reflecting on that process, being like, what other wins have you made? What, did you lose some weight? Did you get stronger in the gym? Did you improve your environment, your lifestyle, all these good things? And then also reflecting on, okay, is there anything else you could do to make it better? Could you train a little harder? Could you diet a little more intensely or with more adherence? Could you modify your environment to make it easier for you? Can you restructure your goals? Lots of questions that you can ask yourself to move forward. But the whole idea is keep on going, reset your goals, reset yourself, and you've got this. So I like that from Ashley.
Absolutely. I love that sort of a pep talk, and it's what's needed, in between, and fantastic. That's why we have such amazing ambassadors to help us out as well. Really
it's so good. Now, Nick, the community highlights, we primarily find our community highlights on social media, so across our Facebook social hub and on Instagram. So if you are celebrating a win, if you have something inspiring, motivational, post about it. Post about it on our Facebook social hub, post about it on Instagram. If you're on Instagram, make sure you tag us at the M Challenge so that we can see it. And who knows, you might find yourself in the community highlights.
Absolutely. We love the community highlights. You guys make it run, the whole thing.
Nick, talking about running, let's run into the next segment of the podcast here. We have the Coach's Corner, where we offer our tip for the week. Even though we've offered a tip already about M6, let's offer our tip for the week. So Nick, take us away. What advice do you have for us this week?
So I haven't checked the forum in the last 20 minutes that we've been chatting to each other, but I'm sure by the time I check, there'll be a question about why is there no cardio on the plan? I think that's one of the top questions that is asked when people first look at the training plans for the M Challenge. Now, the fact is, we're a bodybuilding challenge. So that just means it's not about, oily muscles and things, but it is about building as much lean muscle tissue as you can, or even when dieting, about preserving as much muscle tissue as we can. We know that it's very difficult unless you're a brand new person to training to build muscle and lose body fat at the same time. But what we want to do is we want to concentrate on preserving this muscle mass. Now, cardio exercise is catabolic. It is something which means that it takes away from building your muscle. You are not going to be able to build muscle using cardio. So because our primary goal, it doesn't matter how you feel, our primary goal in this challenge, everyone's decided, it has been decreed, it is all about muscles. That's what we're here for, aren't we? We're here for muscles. So because we have that as our number one priority, we don't have like, it's not a challenge where we're trying to get cardio fit. There's nothing wrong with that, but that is not our primary goal. So therefore, the best strategy for that is to actually spend your time prioritizing resistance training in the gym through all our programs, and then eating according to those goals. So if you are looking to lose body fat, you would use your nutrition to be in just a bit of an energy deficit, not too much, but enough to be able to see some changes within your body without having to rely on wearing yourself out, doing the extra cardio, say the Stairmaster. Anyone's done that knows that it makes you hungry, it makes you tired, it makes you efficient at being on the Stairmaster. You get good at that. So if it's a Stairmaster challenge, if you are doing a step challenge where you've got to climb a building, then you do that. But if you're trying to get the best body composition possible, you really don't want to be doing too much stuff that's going to waste your muscles away. Yes, you might lose scale weight, but you might also lose that precious muscle tissue, which obviously, well, not obvious, if you're brand new to this, you might not know, it helps with your basal metabolic rate, which means your metabolism. Eventually you could probably eat a little bit more. We want you to do that. We don't want you to do the most exercise in the world and eat the least. We want the opposite for you. We want you to find this happy medium where you're feeling good, you're eating quite well, and your body composition naturally falls into this great place where you are not scared to eat. Muscle helps with bone density. Also, the other thing is what we've got to think of, and this is really important, Coach Steve, really important. The cardio that we're doing, we've been taught to think that it burns a certain amount of calories. What if I said it doesn't burn as many as we think it does? If those machines say, oh, you burnt 500 calories, that machine doesn't know. It doesn't know you. It doesn't know what's going on. It lies. It's usually maybe about a third of that, and you don't even really know what's going on. So you can't out-train a bad diet, and to be taught that you can just cardio things away is really just a waste of your time and energy. I'm not saying for cardiovascular health not to do it. That's why we also have our steps, our step count. The reason that we do that is just to artificially boost our movement, because the best way to burn those calories, if you want to think about it like that, is our NEAT, our exercise that we just do incidentally, like I'm thrashing my hands about now, just our general movement, our getting the groceries in, our walking around all day, people with active jobs, things like that. But if you can't get those steps up, if you can't get that exercise up, you need to get the steps up, and that's how we artificially boost that that NEAT exercise. So I think I've pretty much summed up why we don't do formal cardio. We don't want to waste anyone's time, and don't hate me for that. I'll take it. I'll take the fall. But remember also, this is my own anecdotal thing, but I used to teach, we've heard this, Steve's heard it a million times, I used to teach 7 or 8 spin classes a day for many years, and I was a giant stick, even though I did eat a lot and I did lift a lot of weights. So I could never have competed in the bodybuilding competitions that I compete in now. And we really want you to have the best body composition possible. So since I've cut all that out, I've actually grown a little bit of muscle. And so I can attest that it worked for me as well.
Yeah, Nick, that's a really good tip and a really good explanation of why we don't prioritize cardio on our training programs. And I think you summarized the way you're saying that you don't have to not do it. You double negative in purpose. You don't have to not do it, meaning that if you want to do cardio because you have a cardio related goal, like, all right, I'm going to go run a marathon. All right, you need to build up your cardio fitness. Yeah, okay, sure, that's your goal. Or if you wanted to improve your cardio health, where sometimes cardio is the limiting factor in your ability to train, okay, maybe you do need to do cardio. Or you could use cardio to try to increase your energy expenditure by a small amount to force an energy deficit, but you could do that through your daily step count. It's exactly the same thing. Or you could do that through eating slightly less. So in most cases, we don't need to do any what we envision cardio to be, like, running on a treadmill, going on a bike, those types of things. You don't need to do anything like that as long as you are physically active with your step count, and you are eating an appropriate diet towards your goal, because we want to focus primarily on that body composition change by building muscle or preserving muscle. So great explanation, Nick. I love it.
Thank you. I hope people take it on board, because the quicker you can kind of work out that one goal is all you need to reach it, the better. That's deep.
So good. Nick, I'd like to offer some advice about fighting training anxiety. Fighting training anxiety. Now, I love training. Nick, I know you love training. We all love training. However, sometimes you think about training. All right, I'm going to go and train. I'm going to go do my squats or my deadlifts, or, I've got a big workout coming up. I've got a big training session coming up, and it builds it up in our head, right? We go, oh, geez, it's just got to be, like one of those types of things. And that training anxiety kind of gets stuck into our head, and sometimes it becomes so strong that we go, maybe I'll do it later, maybe I'll do it later, maybe I'll do it later. Before you know it, it's 9 o'clock. It's almost bedtime, maybe I'll do it tomorrow. And it's very easy to push it away, and then that tomorrow becomes Monday, becomes next month, becomes next year, and then we don't ever do it again. So how can we fight training anxiety? Because it can creep in, especially when things get hard, and especially when we do things we don't enjoy. So if Nick, similar to myself, we enjoy some powerlifting moves. We love the squat, the bench, the deadlift. But we might not love, or we have a love-hate relationship with things like a Bulgarian split squat, right? Or other exercises that is just not exciting to complete, even though we need to do it. So we often push it aside. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I'm getting anxiety building up about doing this. So how can we combat this? Well, one thing I do, which is my tip for you today, is to break up the goal into smaller goals. Okay, break up the goal into smaller goals. And for me, I used to create the most ridiculous, smallest goal possible. And I called it the 1 minute goal, but it could mean a whole range of things. Now, what is that? Okay, so when I was training for my marathon, there was times when I didn't want to run, where I would go, oh, I've got to go run 10K today. Or, this is like my half marathon training. I'm going to run 20K around my neighborhood. Oh gosh, that's going to suck. What I would do was I would set up small goals. So my goal would be, okay, I've got to put my shoes on. That's my goal, right? Or how about I put my shoes on and then run to the end of the street? There's, a little shop there. I'm going to run to the shop. It was a little like takeaway fish and chip shop. I'm going to run to the fish and chip shop. And then if I don't want to run anymore, I'll just run home, and then I'll just call it a day. But what ended up happening was this small goal, which would take me a couple minutes, put my shoes on and run to the fish and chip shop. That was enough for me to be like, oh, well, I'm here already. I might as well run to the servo that's further down the road. And then I'll run to the Bunnings. And then, I'm running down here, and then I'll go to the cafe, and then, make my way back, and I'm basically done. So breaking it down into that smaller steps was a way for me to achieve that. I did the same thing where once upon a time I didn't have a car and I was riding my bike, right? So sometimes I'd go to the gym and I'd be on the open shift, opening at 5 a.m. So I'd be riding my bike at 4:30 in the morning, which was pretty cold, to get to work, to start at 5 a.m. to open up the gym. So my little goal was I was hop on my bike and I would ride to the servo, which was around the corner of another place I was living at. And if I didn't want to ride any further, which is about maybe a 20-minute ride, I would turn around, go home, wake up my mum and get her to drive me to work, right? Which I never did. So that was the way that I built it up. Be like, okay, I give you permission to wake up mum. If you ride to the servo, then come back, okay? But by the time I ride to the servo, I've warmed up, I'm on my way, even though I've got another 20 minutes, I'm only 1 minute in. That's how I got there. I've even done it recently where I've transitioned from like a hypertrophy muscle building block back into some strength training. And I was getting ready to do some deadlifts the other day, and I hadn't really done any like quote heavier deadlifts for me in a while. And I was building up in my head being like, oh gosh, how am I going to lift over 150? I had 170 on the bar. And I was like, how am I going to, I haven't done this in a long time. This is going to be interesting. So I built up some anxiety. So what I did was I thought, okay, I'm just going to do one set. All right, done one set. All right, do another one. Great, done. I was like, hey, I've only got one more set to go. Done my 3 sets, and it was complete. So before I knew it, it was over. So I built it up a lot in my head, but by breaking it down, going, I'm just going to do one set. That's done. All right, I'm just going to do my second set. Oh, I'm almost done. That's my 3rd set. All right, great. It's all over. I've been successful. So my big tip for you is think about how you can break up this bigger goal into smaller fractions. how could you set up a really small, easy to achieve goal? And could that be a snowball effect to complete the bigger goal, such as put your shoes on and hop in the car? And does that lead to a chain of events that gets you into the gym and complete your whole session? Or are you building up so much anxiety at your house, being like, oh, I don't know where to start? Put your shoes on, get in the car, and start driving to the gym. And before you know it, your gym session will be over. Let's kill training anxiety.
I love it. Perfect. I think I do that with everything, like not just training anxiety. I think it's just everything. I like to really apply that method of one thing at a time. Like even, how I'm now going to go to Queensland for a couple of days. And I said to Shane, there's a lot that we need to do around the house. And I said, perhaps if one of us could just clean the bathrooms and another one of us could just vacuum, then that's all we need to do today. But then we know we've got it started.
Yeah.
And then we started doing that. And then we just tidied the whole house. So you can do it with anything.
Yeah. No, yeah. It's a good little hack.
I think so.
Agreed. Let's move into our next segment here. We have the question and answer segment where we answer your questions from the community. Now, most of these questions come from our forum. So some of these questions you might see a text response already on the forum. And sometimes they come from our Facebook social hub. Okay, so Nick, first question here comes from Lisa. And Lisa writes, hi, this will be my first challenge. And listening to the podcast, I know that steps are a big part of training. I enjoy walking, but I also love my spin bike. If I keep my heart rate in LISS, which is low intensity steady state, which is similar to a walking rate, would I be able to incorporate the spin bike into my program and still get good results? Ooh, Nick, lots to unpack. What advice would you give Lisa here?
This speaks to my heart and speaks to my soul. And I'm just so glad that I'm free from the burden of selling spin classes, because you get a little bit you get a bit addicted to spin, I've got to say. So there is that there's the endorphin high that can cloud things. So we have spoken about the cardio element already. We've covered it within these answers, but I will also say, so just particularly with spin, okay, because you are exerting a lot of energy, your body actually gets used to it fairly quickly. It needs to adapt. And what you were doing, say, like, let's say, for example, just say you were doing gear 9 or something and it was quite difficult. A week later, you'll find that gear 9 is actually easy. And then you have to work harder and harder and harder to get the same kind of output from your body. Your body adapts so quickly. It's very, very, very smart. However, you end up wearing yourself out. And so you will progress so well with your spin that it'll be to the detriment of other things. That's why with walking, it's something that your body doesn't really adapt to too much, because it's terrain. You're pushing, you're walking through all sorts of different things when you're outside. You've got to propel your body through things. It's different to having to sit on a stationary bike and wear your legs out. But if it's your only option, I would say do it just for some movement. But also when it says good results, that's the other thing that I just want to say. What does that mean? Because good results on a spin bike, I know you can be the best in the class. You can be the best. You can be on the highest gear. You can be smashing out the highest watts, but that doesn't mean good results in terms of body composition. So we need to almost unpack what your definition of good results are, because we can help you. If you have a cycle race on, if you want to be the best spinner, if you want to reach a certain goal, if you want to do a certain amount of Ks in a certain amount of time, that's all stuff that can be worked upon. Or do you want to lose body fat and gain and, eventually have some muscle as well? Reveal what muscle you've got going on. Do you want to gain some muscle? What are your goals?
I like it, Nick. I'd like to offer my 10 cents on Lisa's question. And I would say that firstly, we look at our step count because it's measurable. You can measure your steps through, apps on your phone, through smartwatches. And when we measure our steps, we can have a very rough prediction of our energy expenditure. I would actually argue that you can adapt to the amount of steps you do, where, some people, they do 5,000 steps a day and it's really highly fatiguing. Others do 20,000 steps a day like it's nothing. So I do think you can adapt
you're right.
to
You're right.
your step
Yeah.
count and step distance. If you walk 5K every day, that becomes your new normal. You could do it without any effort. For others, a 5K walk could be like the most draining thing in their life. So that's the first thing I'd say. Now, the step counts, the number is what's important, because we're trying to measure that number. And when we can quantify something, this is, Coach Steve's number brain coming through. If you can quantify it, then you can manage it and measure it. So you go, okay, Steve, I'm not losing weight. My step number is this. My energy intake is this many calories. What can I do? And we go, okay, well, we can either manipulate those 2 points. We can either increase the amount of steps we do, because you can measure it, or you can decrease your energy intake because you can measure it via calories. So someone like Lisa, if she wants to substitute some of her step counts for time on a bike, it can be done, but it can become tricky, because you can uniform your step counts to a degree by saying, I've done 7,000 steps on average every single day this week. But then on a spin bike, it might not be the same. What wattage are you putting out? What's your RPM? What resistance do you have on that? Like, there's other factors, how many minutes we're on the bike, what's your K, like it gets tricky. So you can't substitute saying that instead of doing 7,000 steps, I'm going to do 1 hour on a bike. That you can't make that comparison. What you could do is say, Steve, I do 5,000 steps per day on average every single day across a week. So you do, 35,000 steps in a week. And then you add an extra 20 minutes on the spin bike at this, definition, this resistance, this many minutes, blah, blah, blah. Average that out of the week. And then you can make a very good argument about your energy expenditure, because you go, I do this many steps as well as this many minutes per week on the bike. That's my energy expenditure. My energy intake is this many calories per day on average. What variables can I change? Either I increase the amount of minutes on the bike or the amount of steps I do per day. So it can be done, but it just becomes trickier, is what I would say, especially if you want to be really meticulous about all our data points.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nick, next question here comes from Amy. Amy writes, hi team, excited to get going with the 6-week challenge. I'm working on lowering my insulin resistance, so will choose low GI carbs in my nutrition plan. Will this affect any results or only increase health benefits throughout the challenge? Ooh, okay. Nick, let's break this down. Okay, so firstly, where do we start? We start with insulin resistance. Now, one thing I did a lot when I was learning at uni was I tried to break down complicated topics into really dumb stories, okay? And that does come across a little bit in when I try to explain certain things, really dumb stories. Now, my dumb story around insulin is the door-to-door salesman, okay? So what insulin works as like a key to unlock a door, okay? So you have glucose, which is sugar, floating around your blood, right, in your bloodstream, and that's kind of like a door-to-door salesman walking down the street. A little bit of glucose floating down the vein or artery. Artery, better definition there. And there's a door-to-door salesman. Now that glucose wants to enter a cell and wants to go inside a cell, and it wants to, that's an analogy there would be like it's going inside a house. Door-to-door salesman, walking down the street, it starts knocking on doors, trying to go inside the house to give them a sales pitch. Now, insulin is like the key that opens up the door to allow someone to come in, right? Now, as you get more and more door salesmen walking down the street, people become resistant to it, where in the past they used to open the door, hey, what do you want? Rah, 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 no, thank you. Now it gets the whole, piss off, old man, like people become more resistant to these glucose molecules. So then now you get a pile up of glucose molecules in your bloodstream, and that becomes problematic because then you have hundreds and thousands of door-to-door salesmen walking up and down your street with nowhere to go. They need to go inside a house, so now you get a buildup of glucose in the thing, and that's when you become problematic, right? All the houses become resistant. No, piss off, don't come near me, really resistant. Okay, so what can we do about that now? Low GI carbohydrates mean that they enter the bloodstream slowly. Okay, so think of this like all the salesmen coming to your street, but they're coming at a very slow rate, right? Maybe on a train, one by one, like each carriage kind of drops off another person, right? Very slowly. That's kind of like what low GI is. High GI would be like a giant busload of people arrive at the same time. It's kind of like something you see out of like a crazy Indian movie where everyone's piled onto the bus. That's kind of like all these salesmen arriving at the same time. Bang, high GI, everyone's here, party time. Low GI is this constant flow of energy. Okay, so would you say that changes our approach to insulin resistance? I don't know, because even if you're eating low GI, you're still getting lots of sugar slowly making its way into that bloodstream, and we can still have problems with insulin resistance. Doesn't matter if it comes slowly one by one, because if it keeps coming, eventually it's going to build up. That's what happens with traffic on the roads, slowly one by one versus all at once, same type of problem. So I wouldn't even say that low GI foods would make much of a difference to insulin resistance. Overall, what would need to be done is we need to decrease the amount of sugar that's floating around in our bloodstream. So we just need less or fewer door-to-door salesmen walking down our street. So what we would need to do is simply reduce our energy intake or increase our energy expenditure so that glucose can go to other places like muscles and things like that to be used as glycogen, all that good stuff. So the main primary way to fight insulin resistance is to change our body so that we're in an energy deficit, right? Which is consuming less food than we expend. Okay, so that's the main thing, right? Which is simply going and following something like the M Challenge Nutrition Plan in an energy deficit. So we're going to the left for weight loss, and doing some sort of resistance training to get some of those salesmen to go to our muscle rather than into our cells. Okay, so that's a long-winded way to answer Amy, and we go, will it affect her results? No, choosing low GI foods won't affect your results. It wouldn't make any sort of difference to the equation of energy in versus energy out. You could have low GI foods, high GI foods, low carb, high carb, no carb, low fat, high fat, whatever it is. It's all about our overall energy intake rather than the individual points. And then increasing health benefits, even then, questionable. We don't talk a lot about nutrition for health, a little bit outside of our scope of practice, mainly talking about nutrition for body composition changes. But I would argue as well that in most cases, most of the benefits around diabetes and insulin resistance come from weight loss, come from energy deficits, rather than high GI, low GI, no GI, whatever GI you are following.
Upside down GI.
Upside down GI. IG, not GI.
Oh, yeah, true.
Look, Nick, next question here comes from Tammy. Tammy writes, hi, I'm starting the 24 October challenge. So starting on the 24th of October. I'm planning to do my workouts at home. Is this possible? What equipment will I need? I don't have a home gym. Thanks, Tammy. Nick, what advice would you have for Tammy?
Hi, Tammy. It's very possible. We have a whole entire program that's for you. It's completely for you. It is a home option that is not the home gym option, just home option that requires basically a set of adjustable dumbbells, a mat, and if you've got some resistance bands kicking around, which you can easily buy from Kmart, that is quite possible as well. And then just your own body. So you don't need anything fancy. You need a floor, you need a mat, you need some dumbbells, and we've got it all covered for you. So that is the short answer to that. The long answer is then you can build upon that and eventually build a home gym, just like Coach Steve's and Coach Nick's home gyms, our home gyms. So one day we'll take you on a tour. Maybe we can do a little tour each of our home gyms and we'll show you what we've got. But we probably started with that.
Yeah. No, Nick, you're right. We've actually got two programs, Nick. We've got two programs. We have the M Home and we have the Busy Mum program. Both
Oh,
programs,
correct. Of
you
course.
just need a set of dumbbells. That's it. If you have a mat, that's nice because then you don't need to lay on the tiles or the carpet or anything like
Yeah.
that. And if you have a set of resistance bands, that's also a win. But all you need is just a set of dumbbells. Heck, it could just be a fixed set of dumbbells. Better if it's adjustable, and you could probably pick up a set of adjustable dumbbells from most department stores, most places online, like eBay, Kogan, Amazon, things like that, for about $50. Or if you're a little bit frugal, you can go on places like Marketplace on Facebook or Gumtree or something like that, and you probably find some old adjustable dumbbells that you can acquire from a
definitely
good price.
It's a good time to pick them up, because everybody's getting rid of all their stuff, and you can definitely find something. I'd forgotten about the Busy Mum program, which is fantastic. So yeah, there's so many options. I mean, there's almost as many home options as there are gym options.
That's right. Now, the main difference between those two programs, M Home and the Busy Mum program, is the time involved. So Busy Mum is about 30-minute workouts. The M Home is about 45-minute workouts, both around the similar design of an upper-lower split, but that's the primary difference between those two, M Home versus the Busy Mum program. Busy Mum program isn't only for mums or for women. Anyone can do the Busy Mum program.
Yeah, same with the Dad Bod Destroyer program. Women can do that too. It's just they're cute names and we like them.
Nick, final question here comes from Anonymous. Hi, Anonymous.
Ooh.
Ooh. Anonymous, Anonymous writes, so I signed up for the 6-week challenge a couple of weeks ago, but I found out that I'm 5 weeks pregnant. Could you provide some advice on what to do with the challenge? Are there options to do a modified challenge so that I can organize during prep week? Okay. Hi, Anonymous. Now, let's talk about pregnancy. Firstly, congratulations on your pregnancy. 5 weeks pregnant. You probably just found out. You probably just did the stick test. And you probably the challenge probably found out before your doctor, which is interesting. So, all right, look, let's talk about it. Pregnancy. Our advice around pregnancy is that, one, with training, that it's not wise to start anything new when you're pregnant. So if you just become pregnant, there's not wise to start things like surfing if you're not a surfer, or start rock climbing if you're not a rock climber, or start Olympic weightlifting if you're not already doing Olympic weightlifting. So if you are doing some sort of resistance training, you can continue to do that resistance training. You can do any sort of training up until due date, basically. If you are new to exercise, it's probably wise to do, low impact or, an easy to reach exercise program. So what I mean by that is something like, maybe some dumbbell work like the Busy Mum program or the M Home program, or some other commonly prescribed pregnancy related exercises. Things like Pilates is a common one because it's a little bit more controlled, a little bit more focused. Okay. Now, in terms of nutrition side of things, our M Challenge app asks all women if they are pregnant or breastfeeding. And what that does is it adds an extra 200 calories per day to their energy prescription to allow for growth of the baby, or for providing breast milk. Okay. Now, a common misconception around pregnant women is that they feel that they need to eat for two, which is not always the case. Remember, this little baby is growing inside of you. It starts really small and ends up being quite small still, even after birth. So in most cases, you only need an extra 200 calories per day. You don't need to eat, twice the amount of calories as you need to. Now, I'm speaking to any dads out there whose partners are pregnant. Sympathy weight is a real thing. So if your partner has an increased appetite and is eating a lot more, you may find that you start eating a lot more and start gaining a little bit more weight than expected. So if you are doing the challenge and your partner is pregnant, it's an extra challenge to manage. So for Anonymous here, I would say that you can do the challenge. It can be great for your health if you are focusing on some resistance training and, following a diet program where you are eating whole foods and fruits and vegetables and all those good things. That can be very nourishing for you and for baby. I wouldn't recommend any rapid weight loss strategies because that just seems a bit problematic trying to lose weight while you're pregnant. In most cases, we would be either maybe just a moderate or steady weight loss, which can be okay if you are trying to manage any additional fat gain, or focusing on maintaining your body weight as best you can as baby grows is a great goal for this 6 week. But in 6 weeks, you will be only 11 weeks pregnant. For many of us, not me personally, but for many women, you're not really showing yet or any major changes in your body at 11-week mark. Heck, some people aren't even telling their friends and family that they're pregnant at 11 weeks, where they're waiting for the 20-week scan for something like that. Now, Nick, pregnancy, having gone through it with my partner quite recently, that's why it's on my mind. Do you have any other advice for Anonymous around being 5 weeks pregnant?
It is, well, I mean, look, I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but it is a time when you need to sort of assess how you're feeling. That's kind of where you can start feeling a little bit sicky, and it's a bit it's a bit draining, but it does go away, in my opinion. Well, having lived it a couple of times. In general, it's suggested not to, start a whole new regime when you're pregnant of stuff that you've never done before. But everything you said is perfect. You'd think that you were surrounded by pregnant women or something.
Nick, here's a little side story. When I started my osteo clinic at a gym, I used to work in like a private practice on a main street, and then I moved into a gym. And I thought that when I moved to the gym, I would never see geriatric patients, older people, pediatric patients, younger people, or pregnant patients, people who are pregnant. I thought I'd only see sporty people and bodybuilder bros and all the good stuff in a gym. However, over the past 12 months, I've seen about a dozen pregnant women come into my clinic, and I just feel like I'm just surrounded by pregnant women all the time. So if you're pregnant, you can come and see me at the clinic. I know a few things about pregnancy, but yeah, Nick, I'm surrounded by pregnant women right now.
Yeah, and my other tip is, providing that you're all okay medically and everything, there's no reason to stop anything. It's not the time to sort of just sit around. If anything, it's your time to really connect with your body and make sure that you are choosing activity as well as many other things that are beneficial for your health.
That's right. That's right. And if you want to go down a rabbit hole, check out the research on supplementing creatine while pregnant. But that's my last comment about pregnancy.
Okay. Yes. Well, yeah. Have a look at that research and go down rabbit holes, because if anyone knows me, I love bunnies as well. So anything that's involving rabbit holes is good. Just saying, rabbits and creatine, like that's all I need in life.
That's it. Best stuff. Look, Nick, let's wrap it up there for episode number 87 of the Challenge Weekly Show. If you enjoyed this episode, let us know. Be sure to check out the 86 other episodes, and we might need to turn all these podcasts into like the M University, Nick, the Mooniversity, where
just
you could spend
chatting. But look, I think it's, you can get a lot out of it.
A lot about it. Two full weeks of listening to Coach Nick and myself talk about the challenge, fitness, health, and everything in between. And I think by the end of it, we'll have to get someone a diploma, the M Challenge diploma, for listening to all the episodes.
Yeah, we'll make hats.
So good. See you in the next one, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. If you like the show, share it with a friend.
Or leave us a review on iTunes to spread the good word. See you next time.